Okay, good afternoon and welcome everyone to our next LEA Charter School Liaison meeting. Thank you for being with us here today. We're here with just MNPS authorized charter schools for this webinar, but we will return to a statewide meeting in December, excuse me. As with everything we do at the department, we always like to ground ourselves in our Best for All mission. And again, just want to express our gratitude for the work you all do as charter school leaders and staff and authorizing leaders and staff to provide high quality school options for our Tennessee families in Davis County. Our agenda today will follow a similar cadence to last month. So first, we'll do some introductions and remind ourselves the purpose of these meetings and recap some of the core issues that we discussed back in September. Then we'll focus on a few local issues and challenges that were provided prior to the meeting today. And then we'll end with an opportunity to address any additional questions that folks have that you have as we go through the topics today, or anything that you weren't able to submit to us by the deadline a couple weeks ago to be addressed in the webinar. And then, of course, we'll wrap up with any other questions and then reminders for upcoming deadlines. And just as a reminder, the purpose for these meetings, our goal is to create a shared understanding of the issues that are impacting charter schools and our authorizers. So in order to accomplish this goal, we established regular meetings with the key stakeholders, including our charter schools, our authorizers, and then leaders from the department. And as the series continues, we'll address pertinent laws, policies, and programs in general, but specifically focusing on those that impact charter schools and their authorizers. We also have created these LEA-specific webinars so that we can take time to address specific local needs, and then also recognizing that sometimes it's easier to bring up questions that are specific to your context when you are in a smaller cohort with your colleagues. And then finally, we hope that as we continue to hold these webinars, we'll continue to build relationships across all the stakeholders and increase our understanding for the issues that are most important to us in the work that we do. So today we have three co-hosts for our meeting. There's myself, I'm Nate Parker, I'm the Director of Charter Schools. And I know I've worked with a lot of you, and I think I've met mostly face-to-face, but I am the one that sends you constant reminders asking you to complete things like FER and E-Plan, so thank you so much for putting up with my email reminders. I also want to introduce my colleague, Judy Spencer. She's our Senior Director of Choice in our Division of Choice. And then Sharika Roby Grant, who is the Director of Charter Schools with MNPS, who you all know as well. Would either of you like to say anything at this time, Judy or Sharika, before I move on?
I'd just like to say good afternoon. Thank you for joining, and please raise your questions, put them in the chat, or there's time at the end, and we'll be monitoring the chat, and I'll turn it over to Sharika.
I want to say again, good afternoon. I put good afternoon in the chat. So excited to see a lot of our stakeholders on the call today. So thank you for attending, and I look forward to future meetings and having a great turnout. So thank you, guys.
Excellent. Thank you so much. So first, we're going to recap just a few of the core topics that were discussed in our statewide webinar in September. So if you were not part of that, this will be somewhat new, but if you were, then it will just be a little bit of review before we dive into the local issues. So first, just as a reminder, charter schools are public schools that operate within a local education agency or an LEA. So this is either the geographic district or the statewide authorizer. So for everyone at this chat today, that is Metro National MNPS, which is your geographic district. Although there are, I believe, two operators who might be here today who operate schools in two different authorizers, two different authorizing agencies. Unless explicitly stated in statute, charter schools should interpret laws, policies, and programs as though they are a school within the LEA. And then charter schools are accountable to the authorizer for the purpose of ensuring compliance with their charter agreement and state law. In addition, last time we discussed that most charter school participation in statute, rule, policies, and programs is through their LEA, their authorizer. And so examples of this would be the BEP, and then pass-through funds that come in the form of ESEA and IDEA dollars, ESSER 1, 2, and 3, and the Tennessee All-Core. So all these are examples of how charter schools would participate as a school within its LEA. However, we also know that there are examples where charter schools participate directly, and a lot of that has increased more recently with additional grant opportunities that have been provided. So CSP grant is through our office, as well as GEAR and the Facilities Fund. And then school improvement plans is an example of where charter schools create their own SIPs and inform Tennessee and submit those to their authorizer. And then charter schools also have some flexibility in terms of their education evaluation models. They can participate directly in Reading 360. And then, of course, they can apply directly when they need to submit a waiver for a school or classroom to shift to remote learning during COVID-19. So there are some examples of where charter schools do work directly with a program, but the default would be through their authorizer, through their LEA. And one of the most important things that LEA and charter schools relate to each other, one another, is, of course, school funding. And so there are responsibilities that fall both on the LEA and the charter school. And last time we kind of reviewed what those expectations are. So for the LEA, the responsibilities include promptly and timely passing through funds to the charter school, providing clear advanced guidance on reimbursement procedures, deadlines, and other requirements, cooperating with charter schools to resolve any issues that come up, and then transparency and being reasonable in how they are administering their funding. And similarly, we talked about the additional responsibilities that would be on behalf of the charter school. And that includes submitting clear documentation of expenditures that meet the LEA requirements for reimbursement, seeking reimbursement within 30 days of receipt of all necessary documentation, communicating promptly with the LEA about specific issues or inquiries that may arise, and then cooperating with the LEA to resolve any issues that may arise. One thing I do want to note here is when you are working with different stakeholders, so MNPS versus the department, just be aware of difference in expectations for how you seek reimbursement. So I know MNPS has provided information about how they would like schools to submit the reimbursements and the timeline for that. And that might be different than how the department expects you to seek reimbursement for the GEAR grant, for example, or a CSP grant. So just make sure with every grant you are handling that you are making sure to follow the expectations and guidelines provided by whoever is processing your reimbursement request.
And Nate, I'd like to jump in here real quick. I would also say, you guys are juggling a lot of grants, a lot of funding and so forth. It's important, there are timelines on a lot of these and there are cutoff dates. And so it's important to seek those reimbursements as quickly as you can. If you anticipate some sort of delay for whatever reason, maybe you're not getting the right documentation from your vendors or whatever it may be, maybe there are distribution or shipping delays. Communicate that with your LEA because they need to be kept apprised and know what's going on. Why have you delayed submitting for reimbursement if that's happening? Like what's going on? The more you communicate, the better, so that everybody's kind of on the same page and aware of the situation.
Great, thanks, Judy. And that actually is a perfect segue into our last topic from last time, which was communication. And so just a reminder, authorizers and charter schools should identify who the primary points of contact are. Obviously, we have Shrika representing MNPS today, and I know you all know her, and so there's no clarification needing who it is there at MNPS. At TDOE, you have both Judy and I who can reach out to, but I do ask that if go through me first. Judy also oversees a lot of other programs within our department, so I'm definitely the primary contact, but if I'm not available, feel free to reach out to Judy as well. And then make sure that you are signed up for regular communications, whether it's from the department or MNPS. believe, Sharika, your weekly reminders come out on Fridays, your newsletter. And then we also have a newsletter that comes out from the Vision of Choice that comes out each week. So if you need to have someone added to our communication streams, you can always email me and I will add those in so that they receive the next communication by the following week. Are there any questions in the chat or anything before we move on to the local topics? Okay. So we had 3 local topics submitted before today. So we'll go through each of those and then open it up to general questions that anyone might have. So the first question, which I think was a really great topic to discuss, is just kind of an agency overview. So we aren't the only stakeholders when it comes to charter schooling. Obviously, we have students and parents and other folks from the community who might not be sure who to reach out to exactly. And I think it can be confusing at times when you think about all the different agencies, not just at the state level, but then there's the charter school, there's the operator, there's the authorizer. And for some operators, you're existing within 2 authorizers. So it can get, I think, confusing at times. And so what we're going to accomplish in the next few slides is just give a big overview of what agencies there are in Tennessee and the best way to direct various stakeholders and who to contact and when. So first up, we're going to talk about your authorizer, MNPS. And this would most likely be after the school, the next point of contact for people like parents and other community members who might have a question. And so I think sometimes we do get some emails to our charter school account from a parent who has a question about typically a discipline issue. And when it does happen, I always direct them back to the school first or to the district if they have specific questions there. So it's rare that the parent would reach out to our office directly, but parents should definitely reach out to the school first and then the district to resolve any questions or issues that they have. In addition to parents, MNPS authorized charter schools and their operators, this would likely be the first point of contact on a lot of questions that you have, like reimbursements or anything else. And then charter school operators who are interested in starting a new charter school. It would be great to reach out to your local district to let them know in advance that you are interested and maybe seek additional information or context for those applications. Like I said, we always try to avoid when parents with concerns or questions want to go straight to the top and talk to the commissioner about something that happened in class the other day. So we definitely direct them back to your school websites, and I will, if possible, direct them to your formal grievance policies if they're posted on your website or your handbooks when they're posted on the website. I always direct them those resources first. But a charter school was a question about their BEP payments or Title I or ESSER reimbursement. That would be an example of where to go to your authorizer first. A charter school who needs to request directory information, that is also something where you would go to your LEA. But a parent who wants to elevate a concern, maybe under Title IX or a civil rights complaint, that might be something that they go to the district eventually after following the school policy. Next, we have the department. So ultimately, our role is to inform others on state level laws, policies, and regulations that impact charter schools. We provide charter schools grant funding in the form of the Charter School Program CSP here and the Facilities Fund, as well as provide any necessary compliance for those grants. And then provide communication and direct technical assistance as needed to both charter schools and authorizers. So who's most likely to contact us for support? It would most likely be the authorizer at the district, an operator or a charter school, or potentially a sponsor who wants to open a new charter school as well. And so examples here would be a charter school who has a question about a reimbursement that's through our office, like the CSP grant or a GEAR grant. A charter school who would like their lottery procedures pre-approved, they can do that by contacting our office. An authorizer who needs guidance on completing their annual report or authorizer fee report, that would be through our office. And then finally, a sponsor, if they would like information on how to open a new charter school or grant opportunities for new charter schools, that would be a great reason why they would reach out directly to our office. Next, we have the State Board of Education. And I think this is probably one that might pose the biggest confusion in the next past year and future year or so, because of the shift in responsibilities from the State Board to the Commission. But ultimately, for this year moving forward, the role of the State Board is to create rules that impact public K-12 schools. That includes charter schools, and there are charter school specific State Board rules that are posted on their website. In addition, they also conduct the authorizer evaluation process, and that's a newer process. It was piloted last year, and this is the first year where authorizers are going through a full official evaluation with the State Board of Education. And that information, by the way, is posted on the State Board's website. So if you're interested in seeing, once the process is done, reports specifically about the performance of authorizers, that's all available on the State Board's website. So who would most likely contact the State Board? This would probably be more for authorizers, since the evaluation process is through the State Board of Education. But schools and operators might reach out to gain clarification on State Board rule, although you're more than welcome to reach out to our office as well if you have questions about anything posted on the website. And then finally, the last major state agency is the Tennessee Public Charter School Commission. This agency is newer. They just began last year, and its first schools that were authorized transitioned under their authority in this fiscal year. So the role for charter schools here is they are a statewide authorizer, and they act as the LEA for state authorized charter schools. So this role used to be held by the State Board, but now is under the Commission. Additionally, they are the appeals body for any decisions, including New Start charter applications, charter agreement amendment applications, and renewal and revocation decisions that are appealed after a local board makes their decision. And so this would be why charter schools might reach out to the Commission if they are not an authorized school through the Commission, would be if you want to appeal a decision that was made through your LEA, whether that's New Start applications, charter agreements, renewal revocation decisions. Additionally, a family might reach out to the Commission if they attend a school that is authorized by the Commission. And this does apply to some schools that are operated by folks in MNPS as well. So this could be a point of confusion if you're an operator that exists in two authorizers. Just want to make sure it's really clear for families who their district is, who their LEA is, so they know who to reach out to if they have questions. Other reasons folks might reach out to the Commission: an authorizer might be requested to provide additional evidence or resources during an appeal process. A state authorized charter school, they would do everything that they would do for the district with the Commission. A prospective parent from a proposed new charter school might give a public comment during an appeals meeting here. And then a charter school operator who's appealing decision might reach out to them as well. Judy, are there any questions in the chat regarding the agencies that we talked about?
No, we have not received any questions yet.
Okay. The second issue that was submitted was that schools are unsure where to find the most updated charter school guidance and resources. And so I'm grateful that this one was pointed out. And so before I jump in and show you where to go to find information, I just want to own that we are working as quickly as possible to upload any documents that are not up to date. Most documents that are posted are up to date, but the New Start Charter application, I know a couple of you folks have reached out regarding that, and we are just waiting for final approval of some of these documents before we can post them. And as soon as that is the case, we blast them out via email, and then we'll include them in our upcoming newsletters as well. However, generally, where you go to find all up-to-date resources is our website. So that includes the charter school application. Even though you submit your application to MNPS, MNPS uses the application that the department provides. So the most up-to-date application and materials would always be found on our website. Our website is linked there at the bottom. This is what the homepage looks like when you go to the department and specifically click on the charter school site. And so if you look on the left there, there are a number of items that you can find here. So for example, first, the letter of intent and the application for a charter agreement amendment are the first one listed there. Those are both up to date. The application to start a new charter school has numerous documents associated with it. So both the application materials as well as the planning documents can be found if you click on that link. Underneath that is the application for the charter renewal process. We also have information, FAQ page, grant information as we release new grant applications. Those items are posted there. You can also access previous grant reporting for the federal government. We post that on there as well. News and publications, that's where we post prior webinars and PowerPoint. So if you're looking for those items after we have those prepared to post online, that's where you can find those. The other main section I would say is operators and authorizers. So there are a lot of documents here that are intended for authorizers, but charter schools might want to check this out for guidance as well. Specifically, when authorizers submit documents that are required, we post them here. So the budgets that charter schools post, or I'm sorry, the authorizers posted is here. And the guidance for your annual reports is posted here. So there are items here, even though it says operators and authorizers, charter schools might want to check this out as well. And then finally, there's also additional information pertaining to special education website. So in terms of general website updates, as I mentioned, all final fiscal year 2022 forms have been posted or are in the process of final review before we're allowed to post them on our website. As documents are posted, we're sending them out in our newsletters and email blasts. And like I said, if you reach out to MNPS asking for our current New Start application, they are waiting for us to give them the current application. So that is on us, not on MNPS. Currently, the process for amending your charter agreement, the letter of intent and application are both up to date. So some of you I know may have submitted an application for the fall deadline. It's the same materials that you'll use for the spring deadline. And then if you have any emergencies applications to submit, you'll use what's posted there on the website currently. Next, we have the New Start Charter School application. The letter of intent should be posted very soon. And so that's the one that's the deadline's approaching. The deadline for letter of intent is December 3rd. So it's still not the most recent letter posted on there, but I know it's coming down the pike very, very soon. And then the school year 23-24 application materials are in the final review process and should be updated very soon. However, if you are looking to get started, if you have not already gotten started on your application to submit, which is due February 1st, you can feel free to go ahead and use the existing application that's on there and rubric, because the changes that were made are minimal. They mostly were made to reflect the change in the process for ASD schools who are exiting the ASD. But for a traditional New Start charter school, the application questions and sections and the rubric, that budget template are all pretty much the same as they were last year, which is some small tweaks for clarity and to make sure it was updated to address any changes in statute. Next, we have the renewal application. What is currently on there is up to date for this year. We will be undergoing a larger revision this year that will be started for next year. So do look out. I will be sending out an opportunity for folks who want to provide their input on that process. I'll send out a survey here within the next couple months, so that if you would like to provide any feedback or input on the charter renewal application process to be implemented for next year. Similarly, the interim review guidance that's on the website is also up to date, and that will also be going through a similar larger revision for next year. And also I will be sending out an opportunity for folks who would like to provide any feedback or input on that process as well. We always appreciate any information you can share because we're not the ones who have to go through the process like charter schools and authorizers do. So we really appreciate the helpful feedback that you all provide. Judy, were there any questions on that section before we move on to the last piece here?
Still no questions. Thank you, Nate.
Great. I must just be the best presenter ever. So thank you all. Issue number 3 was a small one just regarding Infinite Campus. And this one was, we just have received some feedback over the course of the few months. And we know that some schools had identified some pain points with uploading accurate student data into the Infinite Campus system. And so we just wanted to provide just a small reminder. I know that Sharika's provided this information as well, but just be sure to look out for the Infinite Campus trainings that are offered by MNPS. And when those are offered, it's just good practice to always make sure you have at least one representative from your school who can participate in each of those trainings to make sure they have all the necessary information, skills, and contacts with MNPS that they need to work through that system. As a reminder, all training opportunities will be communicated in your weekly communications that are sent from the MNPS Office of Charter Schools every Friday. Okay. That wraps up the 3 issues that were brought up by you all ahead of time. I just wanted to open up now. Are there any questions, concerns that people would like to address about anything we discussed today or any other topic that you have the floor? We have both Judy and I here as well as Sharika, and we're happy to address any questions you have.
Not seeing anything in the chat, Nate.
Okay. Well, I have 2 slides left, so feel free to interrupt me with a question if you all have any before we wrap up here. So just a reminder of some upcoming deadlines to look out for. December 1st is the next one. That's the authorizer fee report. That's for authorizers, not for charter schools, but just want to flag that for MNPS. December 3rd is the letter of intent to open a new charter school, and that's to be filed by the sponsor for the new charter school. Again, there is a slightly tweaked version that should be posted here any day now. And once that is available, we will blast it out so that you all know that it's available. Following that, on January 1st is the authorizer annual report. So charter schools already submitted theirs. Thank you all. I had 100% of those completed on time, which was amazing. And so the authorizers are now working on using the data provided within your reports to produce their own report, which is due on January 1st, and we will make available on our website if you would like to check that out. The next round for charter school amendment application, the letter of intent for that is January 15th. That's the spring charter amendment, charter agreement amendment application letter of intent deadline. And then those applications are due on February 14th. And then February 1st is the new start charter application deadline. And then again, if you have a lottery pre-approval that you want to put through our office as one of the options to have your lottery certified, we just ask that you submit that a minimum of 10 business days before your scheduled lottery, just so Judy and I have plenty of time to review those and provide any necessary feedback before your lottery is conducted. That is all the upcoming deadlines.
We do have a question, Nate,
Yeah.
and this I think we'll need Sharika to weigh in on. The question is, do we have an update on ESSER 3 funds for MNPS and when we'll be able to start the reimbursement process? Can you address that, Sharika?
I'm not. Oh, can you guys hear me? Oh, okay. I will need to get with federal programs to see if the where they are with ESSER 3. I'm not for sure if they have communicated. I haven't received any communication to push out to charters as it relates to sending in ESSER 3 reimbursements. So I will follow up. I think that question came from Nita. With Dr. Lerma, Nita, to get an exact date on when you guys can begin to start submitting ESSER 3.
Great.
Thank you, Sharika. Appreciate that. Any other questions? It's been kind of a quiet group today. We don't want to take up more of your time than necessary, but we certainly want to provide you with a forum to raise any questions that have been challenging or that there's confusion about, so we can establish clarity for everybody. So, okay, Nita responded. Thanks, Dr. Lerma said MNPS review was going back to TDOE. Okay.
Great.
So it sounds like that is still in process, and as soon as the necessary approvals have been given and we've got a process in place, that will certainly be communicated.
Okay. The last piece I'll share with you is just the survey made available here. There is a link that you can click on, or you can use your QR reading device to scan the square and access the survey that way as well. We always appreciate any feedback that you can provide. But thanks again, everyone, for your time today, for submitting any questions you had in advance. Our next meeting that we'll see you all will be in December. But do look out for opportunities in November. There will be a webinar regarding the New Start Charter application process, as well as once the Facilities Fund application is released, which has not been yet, we will provide a webinar as well to go over that grant opportunity.
Yes, and appreciate you all filling out the survey. We did have a follow-up from Sharika on the ESSER question. She said, per federal programs, the application hasn't been reviewed. They are hoping it will be reviewed in the next few weeks. So thank you for that additional information, Sharika. There's a question about sending out the presentation. What we will do is once it's downloaded, we will be posting it to the website. We have to get approval internally to do that. So it'll probably be 24 to 48 hours, but it will certainly be posted as soon as we get that download and approval. So appreciate your patience. Don't need to send an email this afternoon or tomorrow morning saying, where is it? It will come. We promise. It's just that it takes a little while to get that approval through. But we'll absolutely share that as well as this recording. And if you have further questions, feel free to follow up with us. And thank you so much, Nate and Sharika. Appreciate your time.
Thank you. Thank you all for your time.
Thanks, everybody. Have a good afternoon.